You ever wake up one morning and realize your life has turned into one long HOA soap opera? Yeah, me neither. Until the day those two sisters in their blacked-out Escalade made my mailbox their personal demolition derby for the fourth time, with a week's worth of bills and birthday cards still inside. And the kicker? When I went out there staring at the splinters, all I heard was their shrill laughter echoing down the street. According to them, my mailbox was just too close to the curb, never mind the tire tracks that started in their own driveway. You know what I mean? That was the moment I decided. All right, enough is enough. Let me back up a second because this mess didn't start with just a mailbox. My wife Sarah and we moved into Lakeside Meadows thinking we were finally going to get some peace, a little patch of green, maybe plant some tomatoes, nothing fancy. But the first weekend before the last box was even unpacked, we got a visit from Karen, the self-appointed queen of the HOA, and her sister Beatrice, who might as well have been her muscle. No casserole, no neighborly smile, just a clipboard, a measuring tape, and a running commentary about how our lawn was a quarter-inch too high and our shutters weren't the right white. That was our welcome. I tried to play nice. Really, I did. I cut the grass, painted the shutters, even built a fence to hide the garbage cans, jumped through every hoop they set on fire. I figured follow the rules, they'll move on to someone else. Turns out compliance isn't what folks like that want. They want you scared. They want you to roll over and say thank you while they grind your nose in the dirt. And man, did they enjoy making an example out of us. The mailbox was just their favorite little game. First time I called the cops, got a shrug and a stuff happens. Second time, Karen emailed me a bill for a new post. Third time, I reinforced it with steel, so they just hit it harder. Each call to the cops was a bigger waste of time than the last. So when I finally snapped, I snapped with style. Dug a hole so deep you'd think I was burying treasure, poured in 800 pounds of concrete set in a steel pole, and built what looked like a regular mailbox but was basically a bank vault on springs. The best part hidden inside were neon pink chalk canisters and a motion-activated speaker. I programmed the thing to blare, "I think you've hit something," in my own calm voice just for the drama. My Uncle Marshall thought it was the funniest thing he'd ever heard, wanted me to add pig noises, but I stuck with the simple stuff. 2 weeks of peace. 2 whole weeks where nobody touched it. But you could feel the tension every time that Escalade rolled past, Karen's face glued to the window, Beatrice glaring like she could set the thing on fire with her mind. Then came the morning when it happened, loud crunch, a bang, and a hiss of steam. I strolled out Sarah right behind me, and there was their SUV front end, crumpled tires shredded, and bright pink paint sprayed all over the hood. The mailbox. Barely a scratch. Karen looked like she'd seen a ghost. Beatrice was halfway out the door, cussing up a storm. Phones were out, neighbors recording finally some real entertainment in the suburbs. That's when the war turned cold. I started reading the HOA bylaws like my life depended on it, and surprise, surprise, Karen had been running the show without ever holding a single legal committee election. No warning letters for fines, fake complaints. She was playing dictator with our money. I called her out in a certified letter and for good measure CC'd every neighbor in Lakeside Meadows. It blew up. Folks who'd been fined for ridiculous things, wrong color front door kid's bike on the lawn, started coming out of the woodwork calling to thank me. Some even talked about a lawsuit. The sisters retaliated in petty ways, mayonnaise on my car doors, garbage cans dumped in the driveway. Beatrice just sitting in her SUV out front, watching like a hawk. Sarah started to worry. Maybe we should let it go, she said, fear in her eyes. But if I quit, what was I teaching the people who relied on me, my wife, my neighbors, maybe even myself? Then came the twist I never saw coming, my own little deep throat moment. Mr. Chang, a quiet guy from 2 doors down, pulled me into his car and handed me an envelope, 3 months of HOA credit card statements his wife, a former secretary, had copied before she quit. Designer clothes, fancy meals, and most suspicious $2,000 a month to a law firm in another state marked as professional services. It didn't add up. The law firm specialized in hush money and crisis management, so I dug deeper. Hours scouring the internet led me to an old newspaper clipping a hit-and-run red sports car young woman seriously injured case unsolved right around the same time and city as Beatrice's social media brag post with her new car. I connected the dots, or at least I thought I did. Karen was using HOA money to pay hush money covering for her sister, or so it seemed. What I found next made my blood run cold. Birth certificate, medical reports, years of payments, all hidden in Karen's office, which I broke into during the HOA barbecue with Uncle Marshall running interference in the backyard, setting off a smoke bomb with the brisket. The victim wasn't just some stranger. It was Amanda Beatrice's own daughter, who'd been given up for adoption and years later was hit by a car in a different state. The birth certificate didn't match the timeline. Then it hit me, the real driver, the person everyone was protecting, was Karen herself. The night of the big HOA meeting, I laid it all out. Illegal fines, fake committees, embezzlement, and then right at the end, the real bombshell. Karen had been using community money to hide the fact that she, not Beatrice, had been the one behind the wheel in a hit-and-run that left her own niece crippled. The room went silent. Beatrice's anger broke, replaced by grief. Karen confessed she'd panicked. She was sorry, but sorry didn't fix anything. The cops showed up, having been tipped off ahead of time. Karen was arrested on the spot for everything from embezzlement to felony hit-and-run. Beatrice vanished later, showing up in Arizona to try to build a relationship with Amanda. Maybe finally find some peace after a decade of being used and lied to. Lakeside Meadows changed overnight. HOA dissolved. Real neighbors stepped up. A forensic accountant clawed back some of the money. And for the first time, folks started acting like a community again. Kids played wind chimes, rang on Sarah's porch, and even Uncle Marshall showed up with a new one as a gift, said it was safe to make a little noise now. Sometimes I sit there in the evening listening to the chimes, watching Sarah dig in her garden. And I wonder just how far a man ought to go to protect his family, his neighbors, or just the simple truth. I went further than I thought possible, broke rules, broke into houses, broke a conspiracy wide open. And I still don't know if I did the right thing. But I do know this: in this world, justice isn't neat or easy. Sometimes to get to the truth, you have to dig up the whole rotten foundation and let the sunlight in, even if what you find isn't pretty. So tell me, what would you have done, walked away, or gone all the way to the end like I did? Drop your thoughts below, because I'm honestly curious, where do you draw the line between right, wrong, and just plain necessary?